When I refused to pay for my sister's $80K wedding after she insulted me at Christmas, her wedding day came. I arrived with my invitation, but security stopped me. Security. "You're blacklisted," I showed the invite. They called my mom. Mom. "Are you kidding me? You actually came?" Me. "I was invited." My dad appeared. Dad. "You're an embarrassment to the family." My sister rushed out in her gown. Sister. "Get him out. He's ruining everything." 2 guards dragged me past 200 staring guests. Dad. "You don't exist to me." They threw me onto the asphalt. As I got up, I began planning revenge they'd never expect. A week later, at 2 a.m., 73 missed calls and frantic messages. "Please answer. It's an emergency. Mom." "You're unbelievable, Matthew. This was supposed to be a family effort." Me. "Family effort? You mean me paying for it because you blew through your retirement savings on her?" Dad. "Lower your voice. We're not talking about this in front of your sister." Me. "She called me a failure in front of everyone at Christmas, Dad. And now you expect me to sign an $80,000 check like nothing happened?" Sister, from the hallway. "Because you owe me." The air was thick enough to choke on. My fists were tight against my knees, but my voice stayed level. I'd learned the hard way that in my family, yelling only made you look guilty. Who I am. I'm Matthew Jameson. 26 years old, and apparently the backup wallet of the Jameson family. I've been working since I was 17, saving, paying my way through community college, then into a steady IT job. I'm not rich, but I'm careful. My crime is not being reckless like the rest of them. And lately, that has made me public enemy number 1. The family players. Dad, Richard, 63. Retired early, spent big on golf trips and a second boat. Believes family honor is more important than truth. Mom, Linda, 58. Still works part-time, but her loyalty to my sister blinds her. Sister, Amanda, 29. The golden child. Job hops every 6 months, has expensive tastes, somehow always lands softly. Me. The responsible one. But in this family, responsibility is just another word for ATM. Amanda. You promised me, Matt. After Dad paid for your tuition, this is you returning the favor. Me. Dad didn't pay for my tuition. I took out federal loans and worked nights. Dad. Don't twist history. We all contributed. Me. You gave me $500 once when my car broke down. I paid you back in 2 months. Amanda's face reddened. She wasn't used to me keeping receipts, literally or figuratively. Amanda's smirk wasn't just a smirk. It was a quiet little victory dance. The kind you only see when someone thinks they've won before the game's even over. Amanda. Face it, without this family, you'd still be some nobody fixing printers. It was one of those moments where sound drops out of the room. My mother's fork clinked against her wine glass, Dad avoided eye contact, and I realized this wasn't just about the wedding. This was about the story they'd written in their heads about me, one where my every accomplishment was just a favor returned. I wanted to argue. I wanted to remind her that at 22, while she was maxing out her 3rd credit card on weekend trips to Miami, I was pulling double shifts in an overheated server room just to keep the lights on in my apartment. But I didn't. Instead, I stood. The chair legs screeched across the hardwood. I slid my jacket over my arm and took one last look at the Christmas tree, still twinkling, surrounded by people who could talk for hours without ever saying anything real. No goodbye, no slammed door. Just the kind of silence you know will echo later. 5 years earlier, Amanda had shown up at my apartment, mascara streaked, holding a lease application she couldn't sign without me. Amanda. They said my credit's too low. Just for 6 months, Matt. Please. 6 months turned into a year. A year turned into me paying 3 months' rent when she forgot because she'd flown to Vegas with friends. I remember her texting me a photo of her poolside cocktail that week. No apology, no acknowledgement. The rent money was more than just dollars. It was my emergency savings. The savings I'd been building in case my old Honda finally died. I replaced that money slowly, paycheck by paycheck, with Amanda's promises fading like cheap ink. I kept every text, every bank statement. Not to use against her. Back then, I thought maybe one day she'd just make it right. She never did. The wedding invite came on thick cream cardstock, embossed in gold. My name, spelled correctly for once. I almost laughed. I wasn't going to go. But the petty part of me wanted to see what $80,000 of my non-existent help looked like. The venue was a lakeside mansion, all glass walls and manicured gardens. The parking valet eyed my beat-up sedan like it was leaking oil on his career. Inside the main gate, 2 security guards stepped forward. Guard. Name? I handed over the invitation. One scanned it, frowned, and radioed someone. Guard. You're not on the list. Step aside, sir. Me. What are you talking about? This is my sister's wedding. They didn't care. One walked a few paces away, talking into his earpiece. Moments later, my mom appeared in the doorway, hands on hips. Mom. Matthew, are you kidding me? You actually came? Me. You invited me. Dado stepped into view behind her, adjusting his tie. Dad. You're an embarrassment to the family. Go home. Then Amanda emerged, dress perfect, smile ready for the cameras, until she saw me. The smile died. Amanda. Get him out. He's ruining everything. They didn't yell it. They didn't have to. The guards knew the drill. 2 sets of hands on my arms. 200 guests craning their necks as I was escorted past champagne flutes and floral centerpieces. The last thing I heard before the doors shut behind me was my father's voice, flat and final. Dad. You don't exist to me. I didn't fight them. I didn't shout. I let the gravel crunch under my shoes as they left me at the edge of the parking lot. Somewhere inside, music started playing. I sat in my car for a long time, staring at the glowing windows. That night, I opened my laptop. I wrote one email. Not angry, not dramatic, just factual. I attached scans of every check I'd written, every transfer I'd made. Rent for Amanda. Emergency loans for mom and dad that ended up being cruise tickets. The $500 I'd repaid my father within 60 days. I listed dates, amounts, and her own words from old texts. The ones where she promised to pay me back, to never forget what I'd done for her. Subject line. For your awareness. Recipients. Every single guest whose email I could find from the wedding's RSVP site. The last paragraph read, "This is not about money. This is about the way you treat the people you say you love. I am no longer willing to play the part you've written for me." And then I hit send. 3 days later, I woke to 73 missed calls and 46 unread texts. Amanda's fiancé, now ex, had found out she'd hidden thousands in unpaid debts. He'd moved out before the honeymoon. Her work found the email through a mutual contact. Apparently, being the company's brand ambassador didn't pair well with public proof of lying about finances. Mom called me, voice shaking. Mom. Why would you do this? She's your sister. I didn't answer right away. I let the silence sit there, heavy, until she sighed. Mom. We may have been too hard on you. Dad didn't call. Amanda sent one text. You destroyed my life. I typed back, no, you built your life on me. I just stepped away. I didn't feel triumphant. There was no movie score swelling in the background, Just a quiet sense of space in my chest where the constant knot used to be. I started therapy. Learned that boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're rules that show you value yourself. Mom asked to meet for coffee a month later. She apologized, haltingly, imperfectly. But I believed her when she said they'd relied on me because I made it easy. She promised not to again. Amanda still isn't speaking to me. Maybe she never will. But I'm okay with that, because here's the truth. I wish I'd learned years ago. Love without respect isn't love. It's dependency wearing a mask. And the moment you take the mask off, people will either learn to see you clearly, or they'll walk away. Either way, you win. If you were me, what would you have done? Would you have paid for the wedding just to keep the peace? Or would you have drawn the line and faced the fallout? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. Like if you believe family should never be allowed to treat you like a bank. Subscribe for more real stories about boundaries, betrayal, and the courage to stand up for yourself.